Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 10th Account Payables meeting for the Lenawee County Board of Commissioners. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the minutes of June 26th,
So moved.
2025.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Administrator Murphy. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Anybody? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Those minutes are approved, and we'll go on to the review and approval of accounts payable vouchers, starting with the edit run of 7/3/2025, prepared to us by Mr. Gilbert. Questions? I have a couple. This one's for the administrator, not so much for you, Paul. Thank you. Not that I don't like you. Nothing against you. F&S Landscape over at Tecumseh Products, Administrator Murphy. So, yeah, we've been over there a couple times. It says south lot. I didn't see much done on the south lot over there.
That property is divided up in quite a number of different parcels, if you will. And I mean, I would have to take a look at the map to see exactly where he's considering the south lot compared to where we were standing. We were standing on the far northern edge of that, and the south side is more on the interior side of the fence down by the fire department.
Okay.
And on that far end, I think that's where he's referring to.
Oh,
which-
probably where they keep that mode down there. So does our physical resource people keep track of what he's doing over there pretty much? So,
Yes,
Okay.
maintenance does.
good, thanks.
And have they made progress on the woodchuck issue? Do you know?
Well, my understanding is that yes, some progress has been made. However, we do still have some out there. Work is continuing.
On that same page, down at the end on 18/6/31, it's PC candidacy dispute. I take it that goes back to the one over the judge election.
Yes, that's an outstanding invoice that came in late as they were cleaning up the records.
Yeah, I was wondering because that was yeah.
Yeah, it's not an ongoing matter. It's wrapped up, but it was just a straggling invoice.
Continuing on page 5 of that one under probate court, there were a couple very hefty counseling sessions to the tune of over $10,000 for those first two. Are those for one party, or is that for? Normally those come in, as we see down below on some of the counseling ones, they're anywhere 500, 600. I never seen any quite this large.
Yes, Jeff Davis does a very specialized counseling that we unfortunately it's very in-depth, as well as he's basically the only counselor that offers that for more serious cases. So we don't have to use him as often as others. So we would go for
So it's pretty in-depth case.
yes, I feel like it's
are those
individual cases, but for a long length of time.
Yeah. So do those people, and I know it's hard to get a lot of those collectibles done, but are they charged back for that, or is that part of the county's cost that we have to do in doing business? Can anybody?
Give me 1 second. I think that may be partially the child care fund.
Oh, okay. If that's child.
This sounds like a question for Shannon. She usually knows this stuff.
Yeah, with her experience at the probate court, I think that Paul's right, though. I think that is potentially a eligible expense through there, which we receive reimbursement for. But other than that, our local families, I don't believe they participate in those payments.
Okay. Okay. So going to page 6, the MIS food truck. I take it we'd had El Chaplin restaurant up to the tract. Is that reimbursed by MIS?
Yes, that is correct.
That makes me happy. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that is entirely covered by MIS.
And the last one I have on page 7 of 7, intercom and video services for security technologies. I take it that's for is that for the jail? Let me look here.
Yes, that's the jail, what they use to basically monitor all the movement within the jail.
So that's like a quarterly charge, so it's equipment that we have in there, or is it a service that is actually watching the monitoring? What is that?
This is likely maintenance on that equipment.
Oh, okay, okay. Taking care of the equipment. That's all I have on that run.
I got a
Commissioner
few.
Hardis?
Yeah, so, and I did verify this with the business agent for POAM on page 2. In fact, I texted a screenshot and said, I'm keeping a close eye on you. And he's like, well, why is that so much money? So his conclusion was that that was dues for all the officers for a quarter. Does that seem consistent? I mean, I'm not doubting him, but $3,739. Well, but then it says animal officer.
Oh, yeah. I see.
Yes, this would be the payroll deductions. So these are paying all of those dues, any of those dues that come out of paychecks for those individuals.
Okay,
It would be in
Lump sum payment.
Right.
Yes.
got it. Okay.
They have a lot.
My next one is on page 5, printing and purchasing. I may have asked about this before, but we see all these copy club, drain commission, sheriff equalization. It's a substantial sum of money. What's taking place there?
So a lot of these copiers have gone bad. It's been time for an update, and those are where these copiers are going.
They're being replaced.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wondered, if that was like some kind of lease or if we were actually buying new equipment there. So, okay,
Is that a lease or are we buying it?
We are purchasing them and then they're serviced by Perry Protec.
okay,
Okay.
got it.
And there's just so for clarification, all of the departments pay into what's called the copy club. It's a certain fee per copy that they pay, and then that goes into a particular fund, and then that fund is where we fund the purchase of these copiers and stuff going forward. So it's a business type account.
Got it. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else on the 7-3 run?
Mm-mm.
Okay, we'll go to the 7-8 run. Want me to start, Commissioner?
Yeah, because I don't think I have anything on this one.
Okay, so page 1, this is a Kim administrator question. So is this the Raymond Robinson assistance in the financial audit this year? Or Dan, either one of you, will this be the final that we'll see from them? You'll be pretty well up to speed. We won't need Raymond and Robinson anymore.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say we won't need them anymore. We will not need them any longer for the current audit that was just completed. So that extra that you're seeing there was, we had contracted with Raymond Robson to help with some of the onboarding for our new finance director and assistance through the first audit that he was experiencing. And we ended up needing a little bit more assistance with some final documents that needed to be filed by the end of last month. And so that's what that particular invoice is. So the contract with Raymond is now complete for the 2024 audit period. We will be having conversations as we go through the budget process on whether we want to contract with them for any future work in next year. But we should have paid now all of them for Raymond, as well as I believe we have just paid, or in this run is our final invoice for Yo and Yo.
Okay, perfect. Glad to have you on board, Dan. On the human services building, no, administration building, the window, is that the one window? Oh, my goodness. Wow. Did we
Well,
get,
I'm not looking at what you're looking at. We had the one window here, but we had 3 windows at Human Services Building.
oh, I'm looking at the This is administrative building ground administration. Oh, no, her HSB. Okay, three.
Yeah.
Oh, there were 3 windows there. Was that? What happened?
It would appear as though someone shot them with a BB gun.
Wonderful. For the tune of, for our taxpayers out there, for the tune of $4,100, we get to repair that, so.
Commissioner, just this week, we did receive a reimbursement check from the insurance company for most of that.
We didn't catch anybody though that did it, right?
No.
Did we file a complaint? Did they?
I check with maintenance on that. Typically we do, especially when there's an insurance claim for that, when we can tell that there's obvious malicious intent involved. The window here was not that case, but the windows at Human Services Building, this is not the first time, unfortunately, that this has happened.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Just a question for my information, okay, is on the county clerks. I happen to see the jury board paid for Ron Whipple. I have no problem with that payment. Just explain to me what the jury board does and and how they're on that board. That might be, okay, whoever wants to field that
Do you
question.
want to take it?
Oh, no, I was gonna say, that I'd have to ask Roxanne.
Yeah, I would need to talk with Roxanne too on the jury board. This is not the panel, correct? These are not jurors.
No.
You're talking about the juror board,
Right.
jury board. Okay, yeah, I would need to check with her a little bit more on that.
Okay, or I can check with her. I'm just kind of curious as to, how they're appointed and what they do. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
District Court. I have no idea why I highlighted that. Okay. Forget that one. Department on Aging, we had on the bottom of page 3, we had a pretty substantial, and there was another one a little later on the run too for volunteer drivers, VT, I take it that's a volunteer. One of them was up to $1,000. Are those for the Department on Aging? So how do they get that high?
So these are the
See,
they're-
go down to
Yep.
next to the bottom, almost $1,600 one, $300 one by the same person.
yes, so a few of our volunteers drive quite a lot, and this is for the entirety of the month.
Okay.
If you recall recently, Carrie Robertero had said she put out a SOS that she was in need of drivers for some of the delivery routes. And part of the reason is she's got a lot of the same people that help deliver, but we fall short. And so when you have someone who's maybe the home base is here in Adrian, but yet they're driving to the outlying county, municipalities on a daily basis and then driving around to deliver those meals, that's where you're going to start seeing a lot of mileage incurred. And as Paul indicated, it's for, in this case, a month's worth of driving.
So those are meal deliveries.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. Those are for meal deliveries, for those that are getting Meals on Wheels.
Okay. Very good. I think that may be.
I see the annual or the monthly, whatever, knife sharpening is in there again for $19. That one's always cute.
On page 7, no question on this one. I just happened to notice on our employee recognition every month at the board meeting where we honor people for years of service. I didn't realize that Sarah was a county employee. Sarah in the medical examiner's office.
Yes.
So how's the medical examiner's contractual, right?
The medical examiner himself is through a contract. Yes. Lenawee County has always had a medical examiner's office. It's located down in the Physical Resources Building. And Sarah Palmini has always been a county employee. A number of years ago, through Dr. Casson, if you remember him as our medical examiner, he worked with administration at the time to start working towards a more regional approach to medical examiner services. This is a trend that you're seeing throughout the state of Michigan. And so the first add-on, if you will, was with Hillsdale County. So we worked with Hillsdale County and kind of created a joint venture where Dr. Casson did all of the autopsies and that sort of thing or was the medical examiner for both counties. Our medical examiner investigator program came to be through Dr. Casson. So then we started sharing medical examiners with Hillsdale. And Sarah Palmini ended up as our person, as our clerical person, ended up taking on a lot of the clerical work for Hillsdale County. So that's how it started. And now, and we still had a morgue here at Bixby. When Bixby shuttered their current services and then opened up a new facility, they opted not to create a morgue at the new facility. So we were left with trying to find a morgue. That is when we entered into a relationship with Jackson County. As we did that, Sarah then began to take on additional responsibilities through what was going on at Jackson County. So she separates her time mostly between Jackson and Lenawee County. We still have a part-time person in our Lenawee County office so that if residents need to go in to talk about a death certificate or something, they can do that there. But Sarah has become more of a regional morgue coordinator is what she's actually become.
Huh,
But she is our employee.
okay. And so Hillsdale helps in reimbursing for that?
There's a mathematical equation that it comes into play when we look at our rent responsibilities as it applies to the morgue. So her salary goes to it as a credit towards Lenawee County. And yes, Hillsdale County shares in some of the expenditures of the services that we pay for.
Perfect. Well, she does a great job, and she's just great. Just when I was looking at that, I thought, I never realized she was a county. I figured it was a contractual service and she was here reporting, but she does an excellent job. Yes.
Yes, she does.
I happened to notice on page 8, under probate court, we had a forensic evaluation for the tune of $4,400. Is that a one-person evaluation?
Yes, I believe this is very in-depth. They're trying to make sure of a competency, which
Okay.
is not always necessarily straightforward.
Right.
So I believe it's many hours.
And since that's probate, that's a county responsibility, right?
Yes,
right
this
out of
is
the General fund. yeah.
juvenile.
Okay. Public defender, page 9, Blanchard Law for the tune of $6,400. Is that one case?
Yes, I believe it is for the entirety of the case, which was just the the amount of time that a lawyer has to spend on a case fluctuates.
Okay,
This is one specific case, but required many hours.
okay. And Blanchard Law, is that any relation to the foreign governor? He is an attorney.
I have no idea.
On page 10, under the sheriff at the jail, we had mileage for reimbursement for uniform sizing.
Yes, this is the honor guard uniforms. I believe they were very specific on how they had to be
Oh,
altered.
so this may be,
So the employee had to go to the agency that was sizing.
Yes,
And so he or she was provided mileage reimbursement.
that is correct.
okay. Thank you. The final two, these are always so interesting for me. Washington Community College Police Academy for 2 of our deputies, $11,700. What does that provide? Once they're through that, are they ready to become a deputy sheriff?
Do you want me to take it?
I am not certain on that.
I will take it.
Alright.
Yes, so we have gotten, back in the day, the law enforcement officers would put themselves through schooling and do all that so that they were ready to go out into the workforce. It's gotten where now relationships are made beforehand and then municipalities are paying for those officers to go through that training with the understanding that they will report back to the agency that paid for that training. And so we've been seeing this over the last couple of years where the county has been paying for that training for some of the new cadets, the new deputies.
Okay, so is this like, kind of like what Dan had to go through if you, go through that training? Do they have to stay on with us for so many years on a reimbursable rate or?
I will look to see what the agreement is that the sheriff has with that. I don't know, but there is a countywide policy, especially on the education reimbursement, which is a little bit different than what this training is that the sheriff is doing. But yeah, definitely if they're taking advantage under the educational reimbursement program, there is an obligation on behalf of the employee to stay, which there's a 5-year period in totality and a 20% is basically forgiven each year. I am not sure on the training with the sheriff. My inclination is that that is not the case with that, but I will have to double check with him for sure.
That'd be kind of interesting. So I mean, people come here and get trained and then immediately can go someplace else and get a job, right?
There's that potential. But I will need to check with the sheriff. I don't want to say for sure it is
Okay.
one way or the other. I would need to check with him for sure, but I do know that we have experienced in the past, having people go through training and then leave.
Yeah.
So,
The townships had to deal with this a lot with firemen. They pay for the training and then they go to work in the city of Toledo, and township was just stuck. So
Sure.
yeah, they had to do contracts as well.
Yeah, I've been through that. And finally, I noticed we had an inmate worker that had his beard and his hair cut for $86. Does that come out of his personal account in the jail account, or do we pay for that? So he looks good when he goes to court?
So both of those things are accurate. We have a specific fund that can only be made for expenses like this. So if the inmate cannot afford that and needs that on occasion, that is the case. They also pay for their own haircuts.
and so what we have going on here is I don't think that this is for one individual. This is for the service to come in and cut hair, trim beards for those that may need it. I think that the new captain that we have at the jail is wanting to make sure that not only does the facility look good, but that people's personal care is taken care of also. And we do have a fund that is allowed to be used and can only be used, quite frankly, for personal care items for inmates. And so that's where the funding for this particular one is coming from. However, we do have inmates who have the ability to pay through their commissary funds and the desire to pay their own for their own haircuts and
Sure.
beard trimming or mustache trimming or whatever we have going on.
So we
So.
do, if they have the ability, we make them pay for it.
Mhm.
Thank you. Wonderful. I remember going through this with the dental work. I decided people went to jail to get their dental work done and then get out of jail. So, okay, moving along. What
Well,
else?
that was an option, but I'll have to keep that in mind.
What else? Commissioner Martis, anything else?
Nothing else.
Anybody else? I've always find these meetings very informative. I want you, thank you, Paul and Dan and Kimberly, so we appreciate it. Hearing no other questions, a motion would be in order to pay the accounts payable editing listing.
So move.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Administrator Murphy. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Is there other business to be brought before accounts payable?
I have none.
Okay. Any public comment? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So move.
Support.
A motion by Commissioner Martis, supported by Administrator Murphy. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.